Look, black and blue lives. Yeah. That's a new vibe. Black and blue lives. That's a new vibe.
Like, how do you breathe so like when you see the copy like this?
Yeah. That always makes me laugh, yo. What is going on, everybody? It is Wednesday, 8 p.m. ish. And of course, you know what that means. It is the Black and Blue Live show with me and my homeboy, my partner, my right hand man, left hand man for you left handers out there. Don't want to offend anybody. My man, Jay Step. And as you know, with Black and Blue Lives, we talk about everything from mental health to police to community. Sometimes we just kick it or we just get ideas from you. I like to thank everybody for listening and joining us. And hopefully more will listening. Make sure you share this. Make sure you let everybody know we're live, we're doing it, and we're about to kick it in. What's up, Jay?
Man, living the dream, man. Back from my Florida excursion from, wrestling alligators and swimming with great whites. But none but a thing.
Man, you went to Florida again. This time you took, I guess, the grown man with you on a male bonding trip. Yeah, and
he's 17 now. That was great, man. A lot of snorkeling. I figured, him and I for 5 days together, we might get in a fist fight, but we actually didn't argue at all, so it was nice. So it was good bonding, man. He's 17. I got another year before I lose him to college. So it was good. We had a good time. A lot of memories.
That's
what's up, Brandon?
Man. What's up, Miller? Miller already in here. Man, I like the fact that you and Cody, you just get out, man. You just do your thing and hang out with your son. And that's important, man. Like you said, Cody's 17 now. I can only imagine how many things you missed that couldn't be a part of because you were doing the job. And now, it's not so much you're trying to make up for lost time, but you're maximizing the time that you do have, before you go. And that's very important with law enforcement to make sure they spend time with their loved ones when they can and maximize their time. Because we just buried another one. Last week? We just buried another brother. Mm-hmm. And I think there was a couple more this past week. So, it's very important that you spend time with your loved ones and just maximize your time with them, because you never know, man, when you lace up that boot for the final time, if you're going to come home or not.
Yep. And that's the thing that always bothered me, man, is dealing with dead people was like, a lot of times, especially in the beginning of the years, that's like, you're putting somebody in a body bag, and then their shoes fall off or whatever. But that's the last, their shoes were tied. Like that person, they didn't know they were going to die, 2 hours ago or 10 minutes ago, before they went outside to do their thing, or got killed in a car wreck or shot or drive by or so. You never know, man. And what you do realize in this job, I think, police, fire, medic, and military, is you realize that life's short because a lot of people, you assume you're going to live till you're 90 years old, and that just doesn't happen.
Yeah, and one of those things you talk about when you're dealing with death, and we're coming on a lot of scenes. A lot of it comes from a lot of domestic issues, a lot of family squabbles, fights, and eventually, 911 is still called, and we get there, and tempers are flaring and things are going on. And part of our training that has been a part of our training and continue to be a part of our training between your 20 and my 10 years on the force was de-escalation. And Absolutely. That seems to be like a hot button thing now. But I want to let the community know and let everybody know this is not new. This has been going on for God knows how long. De-escalation tactics have been part of the training. But recently here locally, and I know it's pushing heavy, and it may be across the country too. Our CMPD is supposed to be at the forefront of this whole de-escalation tactical thing, where they're like building a special building or some crap to teach de-escalation, and they're really pushing it hard on the community. And when I was looking at the comments on the Facebook post, it was 90% like people rolling their eyes, like, yeah, no. So we're going to bend the knee more. How do you de-escalate somebody who doesn't give a shit if they live or die? Blah, blah, blah. And then you had a few people saying, thank you for what you're doing. This is really positive. And me personally, doing the job, I'm like, okay, I've been taught to de-escalate since I became a police officer up until the day I retired, and you have too. So why is this such a new phenomenon, and why is this being pushed so heavy?
Man, I retired in February, but even then, I was on the original group, just a small number of supervisors and officers that were, there were like 4 or 5 of us to start, that redid the use of force policy. We changed the response to resistance. And a lot of the things were actually, the majority of things were actually better now than they were. And they changed a little bit of wording. At the time, the chief, we had a different chief, but the chief was like, hey, we got input from all these community organizations, from the police review board and all this other stuff. And some of them were ridiculous. So we looked at, other major metropolitan cities uses the force policy, and the chief at the time didn't want to make us have to de-escalate, but it's a buzz. It's the popular buzzword now, right? So I went to the academy in 98, 99. Yeah, 98, 99. And it was verbal judo, right? So before the buzzword de-escalation, which people think it's a magic tool that we pull out of our pocket and say, okay, no, you've been de-escalated. You have to do what I tell you to now, right? So it's to the point now where it's beyond how to talk to people. When you and I were the CMPD, it used to be ask, mail, take. Ask, make, tell. Yeah, ask, tell, make. Yeah, ask, tell, make. Ask, tell, and then you play games, and but you learn how to talk to people. But now it's like the de-escalation. There's no definition for de-escalation, right? So you don't want to make it where an officer has to use de-escalation, because there's times you roll up and they got a gun to somebody, you can't de-escalate that, right? So anytime the chief was like, hey, anytime the weapons involved, we're not going to de-escalate, right? So and a lot of times our verbal commands is de-escalating, right? But we don't have. But it's the point now where certain politicians and police chiefs and admin, they think it's like retreating, or just don't engage. It's not worth it. Like the chief now has told officers, multiple times, hey, you go to the car, they won't roll the window down, they don't have a tag on the car, let them go. It's not worth it. It's not worth a lawsuit. It's not. So it's ridiculous. They would rather us not engage or just look the other way than have to use force on. And then people know that as a community, man, you see the videos, and not only here in Chicago, everywhere, everybody that officers are dealing with are militant, just kicking off, punch. Doing shit that would never happen 3, 4, even less years ago.
Because they have the backing, and they have the courage, knowing that the departments and the politicians, everybody else is going to back them, no matter how wrong they is. And the perception is going to be that cops are always wrong, and the community is always right. And what's funny about, you said the whole thing about they're saying, if they don't want to roll the window down, just walk away. If they don't want to give you ID. What would happen and has happened times where, let's say, an officer won't do, quote unquote, do his duties, and then that person later on goes to do something crazy. Guess what they do? They pull up the call logs. They pull up, they see, hey, has this guy been pulled over or anything? Oh, Officer Blue, Officer Step pulled this guy over, and they did absolutely nothing. Then he rode down the road and pulled a drive-by and killed 5 people. Now guess who's inside IA and being asked, hey, why didn't you do more? Why didn't you? Is that what you're being taught at the academy? Not to investigate more? If somebody's being hesitant to give you their ID, which they're legally supposed to do upon a traffic stop, if they're the driver, why did you just let them go? Okay, you're gone. You're fired. Wait a minute, but I was just told in roll call it's not worth it. So now I'm fired because the last thing I was told that it wasn't worth it. These are the things that's going on. These are the things that's going to get police officers and more community people hurt and killed because we don't know what we're doing because we're being told multiple things by multiple people
and
during one shift.
And you nailed it, man. It's all about. It's not about before. Stay within policy and state law, right? State laws supersedes policy. Usually, state law allows you to do this, and policy allows you to do this, and you have a supervisor be like, well, just to be on the safe side or protect, CYA, we'll let you do this much. And it's about perception now. It's not about what's right, what's wrong. You can stay within state law and policy and do everything right tactically, and it looks bad. The perception of it doesn't flow, and it's happened. I know numerous officers at CMPD and other agencies, and it's not a CMPD issue only. It's all over the place. Get jammed up for doing their job. So now what are people saying is, well, shit, okay, we got a one-shot robbery in progress. Well, let me stop by the 7-Eleven and grab a drink before I go. They don't want to get there first because what if I have to engage a suspect? What if I get in trouble? And, their main thing, they sent me the last couple of years. I went to de-escalation training twice. They've sent it to me. There's no definition. So my definition of de-escalation is a lot different than maybe my majors. And then that major is different than this major. And then the lieutenant. No one has the same definition of what de-escalation is, right? It's basically talk to people, talk them in handcuffs if you can, but nowhere does it say you have to play games with them. But now what happens is, so scenario, you go up to the QT on Red or whatever, Circle K on Red Roof in Nations Ford. You got a guy there. He's drunk and Blizzard won't leave. They've been trespassing. He won't leave. Well, all right, dude. Look, I don't want to arrest you for trespassing. You leave, just leave or go to jail. And they're like, fuck you. Now what they want instead of this, put him handcuffs and arrest him is talk him. They said if it takes an hour, use an hour. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So how long am I supposed to wait and try to waste my time with this guy? Either leave or go to jail. I'm not playing fucking games with you, right? My job didn't say take an hour to prevent you from going to jail. I don't want to take you to jail for some bullshit charge, but you're going to do what I tell you to because they want you to leave. If I have to put hands on you and slam you down, that's what I'm going to do.
And you know what else is funny, Jay? While we're sitting there doing verbal judo for an hour and 30 minutes, what do you think the public is looking at us and thinking? Or that person that called police?
It looks weak, and people see it as weakness, and they try you. John Collins could tell you, like I said, he's one of the best police officers I ever worked with. It blows his mind what officers have to deal with these days. We're supposed to just take it and just take the punch in the face. Just let them. It's ridiculous. I don't know how they operate in this environment. It's scary. But the problem is between the administration and most major part. It's not just CMPD. It's everywhere. Or they're political. They're more worried about them looking good for the city council or for an interest group than they do doing the right thing.
Or their past life, or when they're done doing this nice little cushy little 6-figure job waiting for them on top of their retirement. It's all, and you know what? We're expendable. The troops, the people that allow people to sleep at night, and if somebody's rattling their doorknob, we can come out and we can handle that. We're expendable. So, when how you've called police and you're like, hey, what took y'all so long? Well, now guess what? We have to talk a drunk, belligerent asshole on trespassing for an hour and a half because perception, Chick-fil-A, whatever all the other bullshit de-escalation tactics that they want to keep throwing in there. And look, I get it. Like I said, police have been using de-escalation tactics since the beginning of time. It's just so happened that we've had some serious incidents that have went viral and have caused issues. So now it's an overcorrection of to those incidents, which is wrong because it's doing nothing but encouraging more belligerents, more people to, number one, the first thing people are saying is, you're doing de-escalation tactics? Shouldn't you have been doing that before? Like, what have y'all been doing? What are they teaching in the academy? So guess what? You just opened up a can of worms. So they haven't been teaching them de-escalate. They just been teaching them just show up and shoot and be Johnny Badass. And that's not the case.
No,
it's not.
And there's no doubt in my mind, I've seen videos where officers have been seriously hurt and killed because they hesitate. They're worried about getting in trouble. They're trying to de-escalate situations. You're not shouldn't de-escalate. One of the scenarios that I had to go de-escalation for, me and my partner, I was a sergeant over street crimes, and I had one of my guys ride with me, and we were on an avalanche task force, and we were behind a vehicle in a high crime area with a lot of robberies and shooting. Fictitious tag, which a lot of times means stolen. Right, we lit him up, so he slow rolls, which means he slowed down, but he didn't stop. We follow him for like a mile and a quarter. He starts going down a residential street. A lot of times, in my mind, our minds, they're going to try to goad us into somewhere. They're trying to get to their house where their friends and family come out and try to intimidate us, attack us. They trying to get us in an ambush situation. They're doing a jump and run. There's just a number. This is late at night. This is just a lot of scenarios that could go bad.
Old-fashioned police work. That's what that is.
What do we do? Felony, stop. Driver, show us your hands. And he's like, he does this hand. Driver, put both your hands out the window now. Because, we don't want to approach and get shot. So we're trying to, get compliance to approach the vehicle. Well, he kept doing this thing, one hand at a time. Finally, I get compliance, and I walk up, show me your hands. Put your hands on the steering wheel. I open the door. I said, get out of the car and get on the ground. At this point, fell to yield. He's not complying. I mean, we talked to him for 3 or 4 minutes trying to get him to we actually order him out of the car. He won't get out of the car. So get him, you're under arrest, get out of the car, and I grab him. He starts resisting. I put him on the ground, handcuff him. Well, it's not a write up, but of course he bumps his head or a little scratch on his knee or something. So he had to use force. And they said that I didn't try to talk him out long enough before I put hands on him. I'm like, I'm not playing around, man. We're not playing games with these guys. I mean, this is a vehicle that failed to yield. I'm in an area that I don't know, on a task force in a neighborhood, high crime area. He's not complying. If he would have complied and put both hands out of the window, we would approach, ask him to step out, step back to us, clear the car, and be like, yo, dude, detain him because he goes in 1.5 miles and doesn't stop. And they sent me to the de-escalation class. And the next one is when some dude, we find a robbery suspect, we sit up on him. One of them was wanted for murder. We do a vehicle apprehension. They start ramming our car, bleeding. I breached the window. The guy's trying to shoot me in the face with a gun that came loose. I ripped him out of the car. We got guns flying everywhere. Dudes running, and I got ridden up because as I'm trying on the radio to coordinate the helicopter and the K9 and tell the patrol units where to go because my guys are actively engaging armed suspects, like 6 or 7 dudes run is a chaos. Was that because I told the guy to shut the fuck up. I'm trying on the radio and he's yelling. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. And I'm talking on the radio and they rope me up. I'm bleeding. My hand's bleeding, And so they sent me to de-escalation. They said, I guess you didn't get the first time they sent me again to 8-hour block. I'm like, you fucking kidding me? I mean, really? I mean, this guy was trying to kill me. He rammed our cars. He's a serial armed robber suspect in a stolen car. His buddies wanted for murder. And they sent me to de-es because I told him I cursed.
And that's at the first day in class. If they would have been like, "Why are you here?" I told a piece of shit to shut the fuck up. Let me tell you something. Most of the time, when they send you to these bullshit ass de-escalation classes, sometimes it's taught by people within the department that understand how much of a bullshit it is, and they know that you were doing real police work. So guess what they're doing during that class?
Yeah. So. And you're right. If you've ever been a cop, you know that a lot of that's bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And not to say that some people do need you coming out on 100 and we've all worked with people where you got the scene under control and they come on and they're like, yo, shut the fuck up. And you're like, yo, we had a great rapport. What are you doing? Like, once it's out of here.
Once it's time for an arrest, de-escalation is over, right? So de-escalation to me is I go, the husband's flipping over his own chair. He's pissed off. He's yelling, slamming his own door, right? He's pissed off because whatever. I mean, him and his wife are beefing, right? Who hadn't been pissed off if they're married or whatever, right? So, but all right, that's when you de-escalate. That's when hey, bud, man, dude, all right, talk to me. That's come talk to me, calm down. That's de-escalation, right? When some bad guy is trying to kill us or hurt us or run, there's de-escalation is over. I'm not going to de-escalate that. If I'm chasing somebody on foot, I'm not trying to de-escalate.
Yeah, there's nothing to de-escalate. What are you going to say? Hey, stop, come and talk to me. De-escalation is over.
You have to have, people don't realize you have to have compliance. If I'm trying to de-escalate you have to comply to the de-escalation. It has to be working. But if it doesn't work, I can't just sit there and keep throwing fucking darts into the wall hoping that I hit something. You have to take care of
another way, Jay. It's just another way to take accountability off all parties involved. And when I say all parties, I mean the community. Like, where's their de-escalation? Like, if I'm calm and they're like, "Fuck you, pig," I'm like, where's their de-escalation? Like, they're, or if they're in my face, like, where's their de-escalation?
Even 10 years ago, somebody resists the cops and they get shot. They pull out a gun and get shot. People, well, they shouldn't have resisted arrest. They should have done what they told. But now it's like, even the mother, there's the Chicago female officer shot and killed, a week and a half ago?
Killed in the face.
Shot in the head, and her partner got shot in the head too. And if you hadn't heard that dispatch audio, I've got it on my social media. Put it with a video, but the mother was on there and showed me.
It's two sides to every story.
Two sides to every story. Don't listen to what you believe. Taken up for her, like she said that her sons were scared of the police. So wait, so you're scared of the police, so you're going to engage in a shootout with them? Those officers didn't even have opportunity to unholster their weapons. Both of their weapons were still in the holster. So, which means it was a surprise ambush type attack. You walk up to the car and before you can respond, shots rang off. And I mean, that shit can happen. It doesn't matter how squared you weigh. Good cops get killed, but you embolden these criminals to think, making them think that they could do whatever they want, and we get in trouble, which happens. If they start complaining or ACLU or NAACP or make a big deal out of a video, the perception's there, and that's why I really like the last chief is he took up for us, and unfortunately, this administration is all about themselves and perception.
Not even
like I said, not only here, everywhere.
Everywhere.
It's in Los Angeles. It's in Chicago. It's
major
in small towns.
Areas.
It's everywhere.
Atlanta.
And because people are cowards. They care more about their promotion eligibility and how they look in front of certain people other than what they want to be. I told my people all the time, when you came to my retirement party, I had, even with COVID, I had 100+ people there, and most of them were officers. I know, I got a new dog, baby. I borrowed one.
No, wait a minute. No, because one of the dog that just walked in, unless he's a ventriloquist, he's not barking. So who's barking?
That's my Labradoodle.
Oh, that Labradoodle is protecting the house. Meanwhile, the big bad dog just walks in like.
Yeah, she's like, whatever. She's like, yeah. One of my buddies, he's leaving CMPD and going to work for agency in another state, in a state where they still support law enforcement. So he gave me his dog, 12-year-old shepherd. So
look at that.
Yeah. But the administration is throwing off. They don't care. And I've heard of cases, and I've been involved in cases where they're like, well, it just doesn't look good. Well, I don't give a fuck how it looks. The people have to know, do what you're supposed to do. We'll back you. And that's what, and the officers know that everywhere. That's why in Chicago, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Remember Chicago a few weeks ago where the two female officers were in their vehicles and the drive-by happens right in front of them.
And they took off?
And they fucking, one of them almost hit the suspect's car, and just fucking gunned it. I mean, and there's times to tackle retreat, right? If you're outgunned, but that's not one of them, dude. You gotta, it might suck. Like we've all been in incidents like, oh shit, this is gonna suck. Have to run through a door or kick a door down.
or
or
fight
do
with a
whatever.
suspect that's big or hopped up or
Yeah, but I mean, shit, you
pissy,
can't just
whatever it is.
this guy, regardless if if he's a shit turd or not, this guy's getting shot at. We have to protect him, and that's what people don't understand. Even if I know this guy's a shit turd and I'm there, I'm not going to let him get shot, right? I mean, am I going to let 10 feet in front of me let a guy shoot him? And that shows you these were marked patrol vehicles. That shows you the disrespect, or they don't give a shit about the cops. Shit, they're doing shit right in front of the cops because they don't give a shit. Drive-bys, and that's not murder. I mean, they're doing whatever.
You have no idea how many times I was typing up a use of force statement. I wanted to say, I punched that motherfucker in the face because he blanked. But you can't, you can't, right? You got to make it all neat. Like, well, clenched fist. He's biting his lip. He was in my face. He was agitated. He bumped me. You got to go through all these scenarios where most people have killed and beat people's ass for less. Meanwhile, you're asking us to take a whole bunch of shit in, and then you're going to sit here and hand our family a flag and say, we're so sorry for your loss. No, you're not. Because you sent officers, men and women, out there to take that and not be ready. So what are you actually sorry for?
And as sad as it is, I truly believe that a lot of cities, including this one, would rather bury an officer than have another shooting lawsuit
riot.
Where it looks bad, makes the mayor look bad and city council. Because if an officer dies, they all gather around and pat and oh my God, he was such a good guy, blah 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 blah. No one knows his name. You can't remember his name. No one cares. But the city would rather just let the officer die. Would rather bury an officer than have a shooting where it causes unrest. And Jimmy made a good point, back to our point about the de-escalation verbal judo, which we talked about, which is de-escalation in a nutshell. But back then it was ask, tell, make. And you didn't play games because the longer you hesitate, true cops know this, the longer I play around with somebody and say, hey, buddy, get out of the car. The more I let him think about ways to resist or attack me or get away, the more likely it is that I'm going to have to use force. The sooner I take control of the situation, get him in cuffs. Like I said, once it's time to arrest, de-escalation's over. Hey, buddy, get out of the car. You're under arrest. Well, no. There's no what. You grab him, pull him out of the car, and you arrest him. You don't sit there and try to negotiate with him. That gets officers, like Jimmy said, it has, and it will continue to get officers shot and killed. And I blame a lot of the departments, they're hiring people that shouldn't be cops. Before you had to have a little bit of mentality to be a cop, but now they want people. And plus it's a training. They want
robots. They want robots.
They're not training people to be cops. They're training people to just take your calls and go to the next call and don't do anything.
Just wear the uniform, look professional uniform. That's what they're not training cops anymore. Honestly, and I hate to judge a book by its cover, but when you see some of these graduation classes, you're like, okay.
No, and then what happens if you and I and say John Collins are in a car and rookies have been talking to a guy for an hour, right? So good scenario because it's happened, right? So we get out, they're telling a guy to leave, you won't leave. They tell him he's under arrest. Put your hands behind. Well, the guy won't turn around, put his hands behind his back. So they keep trying to negotiate with him. There's no negotiation. Unlike the new Chick-fil-A training where you can't tell people no. I mean, which is
customer's always right.
But then we get there, you get cops who are cops get there and be like, dude, who the fuck is this dude? Grab his ass, throw him on the ground. He starts to put him in handcuffs. You're done. 10-8, right? Now, get him to the next call. But what does that look? Perception is we showed up and just overly aggressive. Those guys had it, and they'll go tell their supervisor, we had it under control. And Step and his crew or XYZ showed up and escalated it because they, no, take care of business, right? The longer I sit there and talk to them, the more issues I'm going to have.
And I just don't get the mentality today. Like, do you want police or do you want do you want Chick-fil-A representatives, or do you want butlers and servants? Because this job, you're literally asking somebody to tie up their shoes and get used to the fact that you may not come home. You may not come back home.
Yeah, and we've all worked with officers who or know officers that lost their lives in line of duty. I went to the 5 officers in Dallas in 16. That was just a few months after my shooting, and they flew 12 of us to Dallas, and that was tough. That was one of the hardest things emotionally over a week that I've had to do. Go to the wakes, go to the funeral, see the family, and it made it real. See the location where the officers get killed, the blood stain of the officers were still on the street. It was still an active crime scene. Then a month later of that, not New Orleans, but Louisiana, where's not Seaport, somewhere in Louisiana where they lost like 3 or 4 another officers. It's bad, and we can't let perception outweigh what we're supposed to do. We're law enforcement officers. It's good that we have a good rapport with the community. We treat people fairly and with respect. But the people who aren't abiding by the law and want to be violent and pray and be bullies, you have to deal with. They're not going to like us. I don't know why we put so much effort into making.
And the people that don't like us,
they're not going to like us. We tried, under the 3 administrations ago here in Charlotte, we tried feeding hamburgers to everybody and hot dogs. That didn't work. They took advantage. They take our food, and then while we're tied up making hamburgers, they're robbing the 7-Eleven down the street. They don't care, right? So it's sad, man. And we talked about this before, and who suffers from this? Not just it's frustrating for the cops, but the people in the community.
The community.
And I guarantee you, if somebody's kicking down the front door of your house and you're calling the police, you want real cops to show up. You don't want the cops who's going to be like, well, I saw the guy kick in and I heard shots fired, but I decided just to pull back and wait for the SWAT team, right? I mean, you can't do that, right? So, but they're like, okay.
There's literally discretion has totally been taken away from police. And a job that is so dynamic, where you have to think on your feet, be able to adapt and overcome, they're totally taking away that, and they're making it predetermined what you're going to do in every scenario. And that I can't explain to you how dangerous that is for police officers.
And being in, I've been in a lot of use of force, and the first thing in my mind is I'm going to get in trouble. You think about after the use of force, you're like, okay, well, how are they going to jam me up? You got curse. Did somebody with a tattoo, did this sleeve come up and see their tattoo and they're going to get ridden up? Did someone not have their seatbelt on? I mean, because they go back in most major cities and large, they do what we call a use of force review. So anytime there's a use of force, it could range. In Charlotte, if somebody skins their knee, you do a takedown, they run from you, tackle them, and they have a little skin on their knee, right? You have to do a use of force because they have a skin on their knee. Any visible signs of injury or a complaint of injury, right? So then you have to use force. So that goes up the chain of command. Everybody rules on it. But what people don't understand is you and I use the force, and 10 officers are coming to us, and we're 22 to them because we go 72, which we disregard them because we get the perp under arrest. Well, if they were on the call, the supervisors have to look at all the videos. So they have to look at the person coming from out of team who's coming to help. If it's a 1018 call. Sometimes there's, a big incident. There could be 100 police videos. And so many officers get jammed up who never was even on scene. Sometimes it's because they curse in the car by themselves. They're running
all silly shit.
It'd be like, get the fuck out of the way, move, and talking to themselves. But since the camera was on, they're worried about perception. Well, if that goes to court, it doesn't fucking matter, right? So they lied to us when they said BWC.
It's not a gotcha tool.
It's not a gotcha tool. And if you still have to, if you're fighting somebody in the heat of the moment, we're not going to say that. Well, now they're like, well, you just handcuffed them. Like I got ridden up for courtesy. I find we're driving down the street, shots fired between 2 cars. I've got another one of my officers right on me. Well, guess what? We find the fucking car. They take off. It's a known vehicle, 4 gangbangers. The guy ended up killing somebody not too long after that. But they're known gangbangers, violent. They got robbery records. So we chase them 10, 15 minutes, 100 miles per hour. They go to jump and run. We prone them out. They try to run the house. We get them on the ground. As I'm handcuffing the driver, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? To the driver. Well, I got ridden up. okay, my adrenaline's still going. They said, well, he was complying. Well, I'm like, he's only complying. They were trying to run aside because me and my team were right on top of him, right? But I got written up for courtesy. This guy's not complaining. I didn't say, hey, I didn't call him a bad name or whatever. But because as I'm handcuffing, I've been in vehicle pursuits where people have been killed, right? So I've seen, so it puts everybody at risk. It puts my guys at risk. And so I get ridden up for asking him what the fuck, because they said he was compliant, so therefore you didn't de-escalate it. When I brought up the heat of the moment, like, well, the heat of the moment was over because he was compliant. I'm like, you fucking kidding me? Have you been in a 15-minute chase with all the suspects for 15 minutes and they try to jump in I mean, he the fuck. I was like, give me a damn second. Give me a couple of seconds. Like, well, you're the sergeant, you're supposed to de-escalate. I'm like, fuck that shit. I'm in the front with everybody else. It's because they're worried about perception. And that year, actually had to cancel my Disney or Orlando trip, or Universal, where I was going, because I had an eye hearing. I had to go to eye hearing for that, and it got sustained. And they brought up, oh yeah, just earlier in the year, you got ridden up for cursing at another citizen. I said, yeah, the guy who was trying to reach for his gun and blow my face out, that crashed, that kept ramming our cars. I told him to shut the fuck up, so I could on the radio. I mean, it's beyond. And if you tell a normal citizen that has common sense that, they can't believe it. Like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. And
first of all, why are the civilians even on the IA board? That'd be so funny to me, because you'd be like, why are they here?
Oh, you love this, because I was on my board and I was like, we've been dealing with those people, or these people, and I'm talking about the Pacific 4 people. I'm talking about these people. I know them by name. They're shit turds. They're robbing. They're shooting. The guy, like I said, the driver, who I said, what the fuck's wrong, killed somebody, shot him in the head. He shot him in the head. But when I said, these people, I've been dealing with these people, you know what the civilian said to me?
What?
And then the major chimed in too, was like, that they recommended me for minority sensitivity training because I referred to the 4 black people as these people. But I'm like, I've dealt with these crew multiple times, and I said, I'm talking about the 4 people. I'm not saying these people as black people. And I mean,
let me tell you something.
It blows my mind,
yeah.
And they're just trying to say it. And I'm like, you kidding me? I'm like, really? I mean,
so when I'm in an IA hearing and I've dealt with 5 white people, I'm like, I've been dealing with these people all my damn life. Like, they're gonna be like, wait a minute.
You mean white people?
Are you mean white?
And the major's like, I'm very concerned with your comments that could be taken out of context. I'm like, what are you fucking talking? You know what context I'm using it in?
Oh, it's like you can't, like, whatever you say is like twisted. Whatever you do is twisted. Like, you can like, I've seen where I remember I was reported on because a woman was going off on me, and I was just like staring at her, like, like wait for her to finish, like woman, you're off your rocker, right? And she was like, I don't like the way he's looking at me, blah blah blah. And I'm like, you mean by just looking at you? Like, what do you want? Like, remember that they also teach you not to nod at everything somebody says. They also tell you not to everybody. So all the visual cues that you're supposed to give somebody to let them know that you're paying attention to them or you understand, you're being taught that can be perceived as disrespectful, or you don't care, or you're pacifying them. So it's like, what are we supposed to do now? What are we supposed to do?
Those instances I gave you was bad, and this is what demoralizes the morale in the department, right? So my unit was very successful. My guys were very squared away for that month. We arrested 19 people for armed robbery, 3 attempted murder suspects, and about 12 or 14 other people in a month period. At that time, I had 8 people in my unit, and the only thing in our jacket or file, employee records, is curse at a citizen. Not good job, but they didn't put his perspective. They didn't say like, hey, good job catching a bad guy, but just make sure you don't curse. You're right, but there's nothing positive The only thing is, well, you cursed at a bad guy trying to kill you. But they don't even put, they like, you curse at, they call him a citizen. During a call, officer or Sergeant Step cursed at.
I cursed at the homicide suspect.
I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I mean, and then what happens? And when they did that, the morale of my unit, started going down. And they're like, well, it's obviously this administration is not backing us. And why put ourselves in high stress, dangerous situations? Why be continuing the first units on scene to do stuff if they're going to throw us on the bus? We're, the cops that are willing to work are the ones getting jammed up.
Your traffic stops are down. You know why? Because the last time I got jammed up doing a traffic stop. Well, it's cause and effect. If you're going to ding me for doing my job, then guess what? I'm going to stop doing my job because it's going to be damned if you do, damned if you don't. We got a comment right here from Wendy. And she asked, do the higher ups of civilian board members ever do ride-alongs? If they are going to make such important decisions, they should be required to spend several hours at least quarterly to keep things respected. Thank you, Wendy, for listening. That's a very good question and statement. And let me start off first, Jay. They do ride-alongs, but you know when they do them? First shift. When they're cat calls, cat in the tree calls, ATM card calls, I lost my cell phone calls, stuff like that. Somebody's angry at the Starbucks. They don't do third shift or second shift when you're in it. You're like in it. Like you see serious crashes, domestic violence calls, homicide calls, robbery calls. When you see real victims upset, you see police really using their de-escalation skills and all this expensive training that they claim we're not having or they're remixing now. They don't get to see us actually use that. What they do is they put them on first shift with the salty veteran who knows why they're there and don't want to be part of a publicity campaign, and they take them to all the weak calls.
And they stay like half the shift, yes. And then, but people don't realize, just because you're a major or captain, any lieutenant, it doesn't matter, deputy chief, doesn't mean you've been a cop. A lot of these people, they do 2 years on patrol, maybe non-working.
Very good at admin. Very good at admin.
Then they do coordinator and they go that route. And some of them have never been in use of force. I'll give you an example. The way things are now is I had a guy, he's one of my buddies. He was an SF Special Forces medic, and he did 3 ride-alongs with me in my unit. So in the 3 ride-alongs, we did 2 knock down the door search warrants. We went to a homicide. We had another guy shot. We had 2 vehicle pursuits, about 7 or 8 felony traffic stops, 2 or 3 foot chases, a couple uses of force, all in 3 shifts. So I mean, you think he rode with us 3 times? I guarantee you he experienced more in his 3 shifts than some of the administration people experienced in their whole career. Because they're not, just because you're out here, there's sometimes we point our guns at somebody, different people 5 to 10 times a night, you're clearing houses or you're working East Way on Belma, you got people with guns. I mean, it happens, but so I've talked to people that work in some of these districts on first shift. They say, I haven't pulled my gun out, the holster in like 3 years. I'm like, holy fuck, man.
Jay, there are admin that don't know how to use the computer system inside the car. So they're trying to tell you why did you do this? Why did you do that? With a piece of equipment they're not even knowledgeable on.
No.
And to make it further, these so-called politicians that want to BLM and do all this and be extra woke and do all this crap, we got chaplains that ride third shift. Chaplains, holy rollers. I can't tell you how many times a chaplain has rolled with me on third shift going to the worst calls. So you telling me a chaplain can do third shift, but a civilian who wants to make decisions on policies and talk bad about police, Braxton, you can't ride third shift? Come on, man.
And the reason they do that is not because they're up all night writing scriptures. It's because they want to see what the different shifts deal with. And they'll tell you, hey, they'll see more action on a second shift, which is the busiest shift in every city, than and even third shift and first shift. First shift, like you said, is a lot of cleaning up stuff. Hey, my house got broken into while I was going last night. My car's broken into. A lot of the cleanup, we call it like cleanup calls. But now, I mean, they had a vehicle chase earlier. Well, it wasn't a chase. They, stolen vehicle they followed, and they followed it out to Locust or somewhere. But stuff happens during the day, and now it really doesn't matter. It used to be like Thursday, Friday, Saturdays were busy, but now it's all the time. And the first shift guys, you don't have depending what district you are, you're dealing with a lot of stuff. After about that 10, 11, it's getting crazy, man. And every metropolitan city is seeing the same effects. Crimes up, homicides. I think the division I worked had more homicides this year than there's. We're on line to beat last year's 124 incidents of homicide, which was like 135 bodies that we had, was a record-setting year last year.
You know what else is up, Jay? Police vacancies. And guess what? Somebody got in contact with me today. I'm not going to say their name. And they was like, Blue, listen, I'm about to retire from the military. I'm 52 years old, but I still want to do police, and they're recruiting heavy, and I want to do it. For the very first time, you know what I said?
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Enjoy your retirement. Go get you a 6-figure job being like some type of teacher or something, or some subject matter expert in your military training, and do that. Right now is the worst time to become a police officer, because you're going to get screwed and you're going to be wiping asses or wiping noses. And what I mean by that is you're going to have these young kids who don't have any life experience, and now you're putting them in some heavy stuff. And now not only you got to worry about defending them or teaching them experience, but you got to worry about them looking at you and saying, I don't think that's right. But instead of talking to you about it, I'm going to go to the lieutenant and tell on you and get you hemmed up. And now you got another officer with a fine career getting hung up on something that little person or whatever could have talked to them about it and squashed it right there. Hey, why did you do this that way? Oh, because this works. I worked this neighborhood for 20 years. I know this family. I know what I can and cannot say to each a different family member. I have a different rule. Sometimes in one house, 3 people can hate you and 2 people can love you. So and that's just, I actually told that person today, to make a long story short, I told him, don't do it. Don't.
Yeah, you can't. And, it's just, it's a toxic environment right now. And Wendy, I remember the guy, he's rode with me, and the guy, I think he was in the Battle of Peleliu, and he's a chat. He was old school. Is he still alive? He was like 94. Like
he's old school. Let me tell you something. He used to like to ride with Skipper, right? Yeah. But for some reason, Skipper finally took a day off when he was off. So they put Chaplain Brassfield with me, right? And that night it was just domestic city. So I had to ride out of team to some podunk trailer town, and we went to this domestic, and he was there with me. And I kid you not, on the ride back, because it was kind of late, he normally leaves around that time, but it was like an hour past his late time. I drop off, I ride to the team office. Chaplain Brassfield gets out. I never seen a 94-year-old man move as fast as he did to get his Buick and get back home. That dude was gone, but he's a sweet man. He's all about police. He's all about fair. And yes, he was a veteran. He understood. But if a 94-year-old man can ride third shift, you can't tell me that these people that quote unquote want to make these decisions and starting all this brouhaha can't ride third shift.
And the chaplains at most places I know, they might have a main chaplain, but here at Charlotte we have 13 divisions, and each division has assigned a chaplain, but they're volunteers, right? So I mean, they volunteer their time. They don't get paid to come and ride, and because they're people who care and trying to give back, and we definitely appreciate what they do. Yeah, yes, and he did. He taught Wendy. She brought up he taught school at Sun Valley High.
Yeah.
So
And this is the thing, man, because
it was an honor. You know, you're riding with a dude at the Marine.
Goosebumps talking about it because that
like
guy is
the Battle of Peleliu, and you know, and it's funny, but it's funny. Like, you know, you got to get in the car and draw your gun on somebody. Like, show me your freaking freak. I'm sorry, Pastor. I'm sorry,
Pastor.
You know, like,
and you know, you're trying to be
Mary.
fit while you're doing your job, and it's like, but I get goosebumps talking about it because this guy has been there, done that. Like, he's fought wars, like wars, and then he comes home, and then he wants to spend his time on third shift with police. These are the type of people that it keeps you going. Like, for every 9 buttholes or for every administration, when you get that one person like that, it gives you a sense of purpose, and you know that you're doing something right. And they just don't make them like that anymore, because now they're making all these new young militant activists. Everybody can be an activist now. You get a hashtag going, or go hold a sign outside somewhere, you get 5 people with you, and you got a movement. So it's just right now, they like the whole de-escalation movement, like we've been talking about whole episode. This is nothing new, community.
They've been doing it.
Young police officers, we've been taught this. We have refresher courses. Nothing new.
Even the guys in the 70s and stuff. From the time I could remember, like, you have to know how to talk to people, right? Give respect, but be fair, but be stern, right? You have to, and how to talk to you. It's all about how you talk to people. Before de-escalation, verbal judo, how to, and you know, what's funny is we talked about this earlier before we went on the air, that apparently the new Chick-fil-A stuff, officers in several different divisions have made memes and put them up through the office. Nothing vulgar, nothing inflammatory. They're just making fun of the class, because you really have these people they took the Chick-fil-A handbook and they're teaching this to cops, saying never say no, right? So if somebody said, hey, can you just let me go home? They're under arrest. They're like, well, I can't say no. What do I tell them? Right? So it's not. So apparently they're doing these funny memes, and I've seen them. They're funny. They're making fun of the and IA's investigating, trying to figure out who's creating these memes. Like,
I think like one of them was even like you have to offer you have to ask people you come in contact with, would they like any sauces with their
that's not blood, that's Polynesian sauce on his face.
But you have to laugh at these things. Could you imagine being on a call with a sexual predator and you're like, yes sir, no sir, my pleasure. It's my pleasure to let you know that no, you cannot sleep with your 7-year-old cousin as a 42-year-old man. It is my pleasure to let you know that you are under, like, come on, people. What are we doing?
So apparently a sergeant who I know, he's a good dude. He's in Metro Division. Apparently they went to this class, and after they were asking for feedback. So I'm getting the third hand, so I'm waiting to talk to him. But so apparently he went to the instructor and was like, hey, good class, but it's really not, like, he had some questions like, this is really not geared towards law enforcement. How are we supposed to never say no? I mean, how are we supposed to utilize that? And you can't. And then apparently she made a complaint. It was a female instructor, apparently, that's what I heard, and made a complaint, said he was unprofessional because she, I guess, didn't like what he had. He was probably honest with her. I mean, he's a good dude. Wouldn't say anything inappropriate.
And then get mad. I give it to you.
Yeah, so she didn't like what he had to say and made a formal complaint. I'm trying to find out if he ate any time or got just counseled or what. But that's how ridiculous it is.
Angela Alvarez, thank you for listening. She says trying to resist this, but call EMS to transport since you can't say no.
I know, man. I you know who has a shit end of the stick, or is the people, EMTs, EMS, medic. They're dealing, fire too. They're dealing with these assholes just like we are, and they get verbally assaulted and spit on, and you feel bad for the medics that have to sit, and sometimes CFD, the fire department at other agencies, that sit in the back with, to help restrain somebody, they're against, and they stink, and they're, but But they a lot, a lot of it's bullshit. If we go to a bullshit call, we call bullshit, go to the next call. But they, if somebody wants transported, if they say they want transported, they have to take them. So
welcome to the club, Angela. She says she's glad to be retired now. We need to get you on the show. We need more EMTs. We already have fire on. We need EMTs. We need more different branches of the first responders to just talk about some of the things and how these new perceptions or rules is affecting them. Because when you think of first responders, it's more than police. It's more than fire. It's EMT. It's crisis management. It's mental health. It's social workers. I mean, social workers. I mean, woken up at 3 because you have to tell 3 children that their mom just got killed by their father or stabbed by the mom. You just have to, like, it's just we would love to have you, Angela. Please, we'll link up with you on Facebook and try to get up with you. Please, make sure we make this happen so you could come on. Jay, you got anything before we sign off?
I just wonder, when we talk about a lot of law enforcement stuff, but the point you made was a great one about it doesn't matter, think about it, the ER nurses and the ER doctors, they deal with the same shit. They understand who we deal with and how we deal with. So that's why, we always have a good rapport most of the time with ER staff, fire, medic. We have different functions. It's like being in the middle of we got the Navy, we got the Marine Corps, the different branches of the military, now the Space Force. So you kind of, I want to be on the space. Am I too old to be on the Space Force?
You're not going into space, John. Just cut it out.
So
we're not doing Black and Blue Lives from Mars.
That'd be a cool backdrop. But you're part of a mechanical wheel, or I don't know an analogy, but that we all doing the same thing. We have different functions, but we're all doing the same bad guys, and they're getting treated the same way we are. They're getting assaulted and all kind of too old. I'm 27. I don't know, but not really.
You're not 27.
Damn it. I look 27.
In your mind you are, but you're not 27. But man, this has been awesome, man. As always, make sure, please, thank everybody for listening. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you subscribe or like our Black and Blue Lives Facebook page, Instagram page. I'm at Real Prince Blue on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. He's Step 2223 and Tog 4280 on TikTok. See, how do
but
I?
You have to do a space. I don't know. I didn't make them all the same, but you have to do a space. I think like TOG space 4280. I don't know, man. But the good news is, look, we love the live. We post what we do on the live tomorrow. I know I think we're from last week, or we're up 500 Facebook followers or likes from last week. Which is big. We appreciate the people who are like and pay attention and follow us. But we have some new stuff coming out. Check out our Facebook page.
And the more you like us, the more people are reaching out. We've already had Spectrum One. I got to repost that to our page too. We had Spectrum One do a feature on us. Go ahead, Jay.
There was a police. What's the one that I sent you? They reached out to us.
American Police Magazine.
Police Beat. Yeah, Police Beat. Yeah. So when they want to feature us on some stuff. So which is awesome. But we're open. If you have something to add and you want to be on the show, we could use you. Or if you want a subject you want us to review, or video you want to review, or something to bring up, man, shoot us a message, man. We're wide open. But if tell your friends if they miss the live. We're kind of unique. We like to do the live to take live questions, but we'll post the replay of this probably by tomorrow. I know Prince is pretty quick about doing it, but and so make sure you're checking us out. Go back, look at our Facebook page and look at our older videos. We have some good videos and some topics and stuff. So let us know what you like, what you don't like, how we can do things better, and we definitely appreciate everybody watching.
Yeah, and we're working on stuff like shirts and stuff like that, because every little bit helps, because this is all out of our pocket. So we want to give you guys better content, better quality. So please, just make sure you keep supporting. The most important thing is like and sharing the videos. It takes nothing. Subscribe to the podcast. It takes nothing. That helps get more people, more eyes on us, more listeners, and we appreciate that. And as always, shout out to hashtag buddy check. Make sure you check on one person. I don't care who it is. Just ask them, are they okay? And you never know whose life you may be saving by just asking that one simple question, are you okay? That's it for us. We'll see you next week. And we are out of here.
Yeah.